my screen now. So today I will be talking about three specific things. One is how to have a millionaire real estate mindset. Two is how is real estate performing compared to other assets, compared to other investments. And three, how will you survive through this pandemic, investing through this pandemic. No, so thank you again for watching, and let me start my presentation now. So why do people think it's hard to be a millionaire? The first thing that comes into your mind when you hear na he's a millionaire or she's a millionaire is mostly that the person is rich. A lot of people would think na parang okay. Condominium investings are only for millionaires. They're only for rich people. Buying properties are only for those who are financially savvy or investment savvy, and all those things. But to tell you honestly, people think it's very hard to be a millionaire because of one thing. It's because of their mindset. No, their mindset about money, how they perceive money and how they view investments. People are usually scared to use money. The only thing they know about money is that money is a tool you use to be able to survive in this world. So parang the reason why we work is we need money for our food, for our for the things we need for our basic necessity, 'di ba? And the other thing is investment. So there is a saying that the rich gets richer and the poor gets poorer. While it is partly true that the rich mostly gets richer, but the reason why it's partly true because it's mostly about investments. So right now, the mindset about money and investments, it needs to change. Kailangan siya mabago. There is a certain reason na parang even the poor can actually invest and can actually make millions in real estate. But the question is how? We're already we're not financially savvy. We're not that blessed compared to the others. So today I will be discussing different real estate techniques na pwede niyong gamitin. So, there are two person. I think you're not seeing my screen, no? Can we please project my screen? My PowerPoint. Sorry about that. Okay. Now these are two people, Steve Jobs and Warren Buffett. So Steve Jobs, we know Steve Jobs as the founder of Apple, no? The he used to be the CEO of Apple when he was still living there. Now you can see my slides. Thank you very much. And then the other one is Warren Buffett. Usually, when I ask people, what's Warren Buffett's company? People don't actually know. They they usually tell, I don't know. That's just the rich guy somewhere, no? Siya lang yung mayaman na investor somewhere. And because of that, there's a reason why. Because Steve Jobs, of course, Apple is very popular, while Warren Buffett made his wealth through investing. But Warren Buffett is the CEO of Berkshire. So now, there's two ways to become rich: follow Jobs Street's way or follow Warren Buffett's way. Job Street, if we can invent something better than an Apple product, better than an iPhone, better than an iPad, then we'll probably become as rich as Steve Jobs in the future. No, but Warren Buffett is passive income. So he started investing at a very young age. That's the reason why out of nowhere there is a certain Warren Buffett who became the richest person in the world. No, and the year he became the richest person in the world was during the global financial crisis. So could you imagine that? In 2008, 2009, there was a global financial crisis. Everyone was affected, especially in the US. But then a certain Warren Buffett became the richest person because he used that crisis as an opportunity to make the most out of his investments. And today, we are given another opportunity to do the same with our money and with our wealth. So again, Steve Jobs was an active income. So active income are people who work for money. So if you don't work, you don't get paid. So a lot of us right now, nandito tayo sa situation na to. And the goal is really to have a passive income. So generate income without working directly, that's passive income. So even if nakaupo ka lang, nagjo-generate ka ng money. And of course, money works for people. Now, the important thing here is you have to imagine na it's like during the active income, it's like you're planting the tree. How do you plant a tree? 'Di ba? It takes a lot of time and patience. So kailangan mo siya diligan, kailangan mo siya bantayan. You have to water it every day. You need to make sure it gets the proper sunlight, etc. So that's active income. Pero once the tree grows and it starts bearing fruit or whatever plant it is, and you're enjoying the fruit of this tree, that is a passive income. So passive income is technically a money making machine. And the goal really in real estate investing or any kind of investment is really to have a passive income or a money making machine. So it's like I don't need to work anymore, 'di ba? For money. It's just really like getting it. So a lot of you right now, I'm sure are OFWs watching from abroad. I'm sure you're there. Pero while you're there, while you're earning an active income, the most important thing is you start buying your money making machine, because itong mga machine na to, binibili to, and they are called passive income. So that's the goal. Because a lot of OFWs would probably work a lot of years, 'di ba? And come home here, and then probably you did not save enough or you were not able to invest. So sayang naman yung years of sacrifice while you're there. So Meet, what is the best type of asset post COVID-19? So there's a lot of myths about this na it's not safe to invest right now, it's risky to invest, it's not a proper time, the market would crash. So there's a lot of fake news. Pero among this fake news, ano talaga yung real or ano talaga yung fake? So whatever it is, you have to remember that a low risk would have low return and a high risk would have high return. So right now, if people are saying that investing during the pandemic or investing during the COVID is a high risk scenario, then for sure you will be getting high returns. 'Di ba? That is in the investment concept. That is in the basic financial concept. But really, like when we talk about asset, it really performs different. It would depend kung anong klaseng asset yung kinuhanan mo. That's why there is something what we call asset allocation. So this simply means deciding how to spread your money across different asset class like equities, bonds, properties, or cash, and how much you want to hold in each. But of course, for Filipinos, real estate I think is the most important asset investment for them because when you when you're able to buy a property, 'di ba? It's like a trophy of your sacrifice. It's like a trophy of your hard work. And it's really the goal of every Filipino to have a home that they can call. But if you think right now that probably properties are so expensive, you can actually diversify, or if you have probably investments in equities or stock market and your stock market's earning monthly, the earnings, you can use that for monthly payments sa real estate. So it works together. I'm not really saying na oh you should have everything invested in property or you should have everything invested in stock market. That's why we call it asset allocation or diversification. But then you have to understand how each assets are performing. So, number one, like stock market during COVID-19, for example, what are the characteristics of stock market? Well, technically, stock market are transparent. Stock market are economic indicators. So right now, the economy is in a bad condition. The global economy is falling right now. That's why the stock market is down as well because it is a direct reflection of whatever is happening to the economy. You can expect high returns, especially right now if the market is low and the market is down there. But of course, as I said a while ago, you can expect high risk as well. So there are really no guarantees. So and prices can be rising and erratic and declining fast for no apparent reasons. So majority of the time in the stock market, it's based on panic, actions and reactions. So like if the market is panicking, definitely the stock prices would fall. So um there's a volatility aspect to it. It's very volatile. Magalaw siya and we don't really know where it's going. We really need to use a technical analysis for this. And of course, but the good thing about stock market investing is you become a minority owner of the company. So there are even Vista, they with Manny Villar, they have a lot of good stocks na usually nag-IPO din. But in stock market, of course, you can you only need a very small amount to be able to invest in the stock market. And then you have your bonds. Bonds is like that. Before kung ikaw yung nangungutang, ngayon ikaw na yung nagpapautang. There's a principal amount. The good thing with bonds is you know kung kailan mo siya makukuha. There's a certain time frame kung kailan babalik yung investment mo. So that's very important. There's a maturity date and then there's a predictable income stream as well. So bonds are highly liquid, it's low risk. But the thing with bonds is it's subject to inflation risk. So when we say subject to inflation risk, probably if the inflation is 5 or 6% and you're only earning 5 as well. So you're not really earning anything. 'Di ba? So the important thing when it comes to investing is you have to remember you have to invest returns above the inflation rate. That's actually the first rule, 'di ba? Kasi so that your money won't go weak or the currency won't you'll be able to buy more with the currency or with the liquidity you earned from your investments. So now, we have our time deposit. So why do we use time deposit? Really, why do people still like go to the bank and have their money there? Is that bad? Is that good? That's the usual questions I get. What do Richard? What do you think about time deposits? Well, time deposits are I think time deposits are necessary, especially for emergency funds. So a lot of us needs emergency funds. So it's not true na you're not supposed to put your money in time deposit. See, like for example, last year, if you were able to save up for your emergency funds are usually 6 months of your monthly salary, 'di ba? And then COVID happened this year. If you don't have emergency fund, mahirap talaga 'yon. You will really struggle. But due to if you were able to collect emergency funds, 'di ba? And you can use it right now, then you're still able to pay for your investments. Even though wala kang work ngayon or wala ka salary or you have a pay cut right now, if you have emergency funds, you're able to still pay with whatever investment. So what's good with emergency funds? Kasi like in terms of investments kasi, like if you're not able to pay, of course the investment is gone. That goes for any other investor, di ba? So what I'm saying is before you even invest, it is important that you actually have an emergency fund. And that's usually the time we use time deposit para nandun lang siya. Mutual funds is a different kind of investment naman. It's like the stock market, but if you cannot trade or you're not very familiar about trading or doing certain types of investment, or you're very busy, I think mutual funds is a better investment. So this one naman, it's like the same. It's invested in equities, and then you just have to forget and wait. Of course, it's a short-term commitment. Fluctuating returns as well because it's invested in equities. While it's a short-term commitment, I suggest that it needs to be long-term as well for safer returns and better results. So you can actually invest in mutual funds for as low as 5,000 pesos something. And of course, insurance is very important as well, especially during this time. So you'll hear a lot of financial advisors as well coming to you and telling you that you will probably need insurance at one point. So Insurance usually they have dual purpose. One is for saving, the other one is really for protection. No, and you can actually use insurance when you have bank mortgage or bank loan. You can actually use it for your mortgage redemption insurance or MRI. So it's important as well to have insurance, but you need to remember that the main purpose of insurance is really not for investing. It's really for your protection, just in case something happens. And your when I say protection, it includes like if you own real estate right now or you're paying real estate right now and something happens to you, 'di ba? For it to be able to for you to be able to continue paying it in terms of like in cases of disability or in cases of sickness, for example, and you cannot work anymore, then you'll probably use the insurance proceeds to pay for those. And of course, cash is still important, but um, really, we don't really suggest keeping a lot of cash because it's really subject to inflation risk. So if you're not very much invested, you really need to consider about diversifying your cash or where you put your cash. And of course, like for me personally, if I have a lot of cash, personally I'm not very liquid because if I have a lot of cash, the tendency is magagastos ko lang yan. I would be spending it on certain things that are not really as as important, di ba? Or as but right now, because I've been investing for the last decade, so I have quite a lot of investments. It's really about your mindset, na I don't buy something that does not appreciate, or if I spend my cash, it needs to appreciate. I won't buy something that it would probably depreciate. Of course, I bought a car, but I use the car for my business. I use the car for work, for example. Is it giving me income? Yes, it's giving me income. If I bought a laptop, if I bought an iPad using cash, can I use the iPad regarding like can I use the iPad, 'di ba? For me to generate profit. So these things. So you have to remember. So it's not necessarily the when you buy a certain thing, it's how do we call this? Um, it's not necessary na when you buy certain things, it's an expense, but it's really how you use it to generate income. So you cannot classify it na, okay, basta gadget expense siya. So why not just invest into something? That's not the millionaire mindset. The millionaire mindset is really about investing anywhere, di ba? Na may return siya or you can use it to generate profit. And of course, real estate, our focus topic for today. So for real estate, there are various ways to make money. Why Filipinos like real estate so much? Because it's tangible. You can actually live in the property. You can actually see the property. You can actually use it. You can actually enjoy the property. You can feel it. You can enjoy the amenities there. It's very low in volatility. So unlike the stock market, medyo magalaw siya. It's subject to progression and regression. What is progression and regression? Progression is actually the uh, progression is actually the increase in price in terms of the developments nearby. And of course, the regression is let's say for example threat to fault lines or to flooding, etc. And but in real estate, one of their characteristic, it requires a lot of management. So you really need a good property management, especially if you're not in the Philippines. So you really have to choose the developer well. Um, for the pros, you get to live in your investments. Yeah, multiple streams of income. So when we say multiple streams of income, you can earn from rent, you can earn from increase in price or capital appreciation. You can even actually fix it up, stage it up, interior it, and then finally flip it or sell it after the interior at a higher price. So you can really make income through leverage or use of bank loans. So it's really like when you buy a property that is 5 million pesos, it's not necessarily that you're paying 5 million on the spot, diba? Sometimes you only have to pay equity of 20%, diba? And this equity of 20% is probably spread to number of months, especially for pre-selling properties. So That's the pro. Of course, in bank loan as well, you can use the bank to pay for the turnover balance, and you can already enjoy your property. I don't think in equities that you can lend, or you can borrow from the bank, and then after nun you'll invest it. That's not how investing works. You're not supposed to invest the money that's not yours, diba? Because all investments are subject to risk. If there is an investment that is not subject to risk, then an that is not a legit investment. Okay. But of course, real estate is not all pros. So the cons are it's high maintenance and expensive taxes and fees. It's illiquid. So if you need cash today or you need money today for emergency, you cannot sell the property in one day. That's not how it works. So it takes quite a while for your broker or agent to sell it again. It's time consuming, but we can work on that, and it is um subject to natural disasters, but not all properties are. There are only certain properties, so I will explain this later. So these are technically the characteristics of a real estate asset. Now, in terms of paper asset versus real estate, property usually produces stable income. Yes, if you have properties for rent, it does. So it's based on your contract. You know how much per month you're earning from rent. Diba? If the rent is around 25,000 per month or 30,000 per month. In paper assets or in equities or stocks, it's not like you don't really know what you will earn the following month. Real estate is less sensitive to volatility. Yes, the exposure is not as high in terms of the stock market. A property may outperform stocks and bonds during crises. This is proven before, even in previous crisis, that talagang the property does not price drop, 'di ba? If ever man, it's just really like the market value of how much the market are willing to buy in a current crisis, but it's not really gonna depreciate as low as the prices before. And stocks and real estate have a correlation. So when we say correlation, correlation is the relationship between two assets. So like sometimes, for example, if there is a high correlation, it means like the real estate and stocks. If the real estate goes up, the stocks would probably go up as well. So that's what we call high correlation. If it's negative correlation, if the stock goes down, the real estate would go up. And if the real estate would go up, the stocks would go down. So that is a negative correlation. They are opposite from one another. The good news is they are not correlated. So when we say weak correlation or they are not correlated, hindi hindi affected yung price nila sa isa't isa. So even if the stock market would go down, the real estate would perform stable. Or even if the real estate goes up, the stock market is independent from the real estate or from one another. So, fact or fake news, no? So, Manila condominium prices to fall 15% this year, says Collier. So, if you've been reading a lot of social media news or articles, or you're worried about the investment, and you've probably encountered this headline, di ba? So, and sometimes a lot of people would panic and say, "Oh, I thought real estate is not falling down. Real estate is not, 'di ba? Real estate is a safe investment, 'di ba?" But pero what does it really mean na 15% this year? Does that mean na if I bought my property at a 4 million pesos price, the price na lang ng property ngayon is around 3 million? Is that it? So, the challenge with real estate is not all real estate assets are performing the same way during this crisis. So it means not all developers are gonna be affected. 'Di ba? And not all kinds of real estate properties are affected with COVID. But there are certain real estate properties that are affected. What are these? These are the hotels, of course. There is a little exposure to the office space because a lot of companies are closing down, so there's a lot of vacancies, and a lot of international companies are ceasing operations in the Philippines. So nababakante siya. And of course, yeah, and of course, and then hotel stocks are falling around the world because of high vacancy or occupancy. So it's different. There are certain developers as well, or there are certain real estate investments as well that would have promotional price drop. Like for example, they would have discount prices at 10%. But really, you have to remember that these discount prices, they are temporary. Like when the market goes back to normal, or they are able to sell their property, it goes back to the correct price. And prices can be actually regulated. Like for example, if Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas would tell them not to lower any prices below 15%. So I think that was just really a projection. But the overall, in terms of overall assets, you really don't have to worry, because each real estate investment, each real estate property, each real estate developer would have their own returns as long as you invested in a reputable developer. And I think Vista Residences is one of the most reputable developers. Yeah. So you always have to remember that. So do not panic about that news. So why is real estate unique compared to other assets? Well, one, diversification of your real estate investment can produce income streams that are not dependent on the country's GDP. So again, unlike the stock market, real estate is not dependent. It's not solely dependent on the GDP. So marami siyang factors. So it's dependent on the market, it's dependent on the foreign investors, it's dependent on OFW investments, and the renters, of course. And right now, there is actually still a backlog in the housing market. So a lot of people still need accommodation, especially we are in a demographic window. So when we say demographic window, our average age is around 25 years old. So what is the implication of this one? So a lot of Filipinos would still be able to buy real estate in the future because nasa working age pa eh. And a lot of people would still have the goal to own their properties, 'di ba? And so there's still a market for this one. Also, a lot of there are still a lot of foreigners coming into the Philippines. Like for example, Japan stopping operations in China and moving their warehousing or factories in the Philippines. So all these people would need real estate. Their executives would need condominiums to rent. Their expats would need good houses in the central business district. So there's a lot of factors coming in. So it's not just about the economy. And property investment offer various income stream. There's no need to start liquidating your real estate assets out of panic. So yung sinabi ko kanina, you can earn from rent, 'di ba? You can earn there's a lot of ways to do it. So there's really no bad time in terms of investing in real estate. It's just really about the strategy that you do. And property markets will bounce back. In the meantime, you can take advantage of the economic downturn to continue investing. So, what do we mean by taking advantage? So, if there are promotions, there are buyers discount, I think this is the time to really get it. And whatever is the market performance right now for real estate, it is temporary, because at the end of the day, real estate is a cycle, 'di ba? And it's really gonna bounce back. But in general terms, it's not really that affected. We're still closing a lot of transactions. We're still seeing a lot of sales. We're still um in our company, we still have a lot of client inquiries. So really, it's not really something to panic about. So what you need to remember is buying any property can be risky, but investing in the right property can be rewarding. Yeah. So just like any other investment, uh, there are risks that comes to it. But if you're able to select the right property, you will be rewarded, and it would be fulfilling. So now the question is, how do we select the right properties? What are the tips in terms of buying the right properties? So first of all, you have to understand what exactly is an income property. So an income property is something that you'll probably earn 5 to 10% in terms of your yield. So I'll show you later how to compute a yield. It's not really something that it's not really something about your preference. For example, na you have an attachment to a certain area. That's why you're buying to a certain area. No, income property is all about the income it generates, or really the income that you will be getting from an investment and your investment return. So there are two formulas for this. One is it needs to earn rental income. The second one, it needs to earn capital appreciation. So for rental income, you could actually yield between 5 to 10% per year, and for capital appreciation, you can have a return of investment between 8 to 12% per year. And 8 to 12% per year here is actually conservative. I've seen a lot of condominiums year on year na nasa 20 to 25% yung growth nila in terms of prices. 'Di ba? Especially if it's pre-selling. There's a lot of opportunity to double it, and we've seen it before. So in terms of the two, like if you add those two, 10% plus 12%, you're probably earning 22% per year. Your money is actually earning 22% per year without doing anything. Or the value of your property, if you bought your property at 2.5 million or 3 million, or if you want to buy a property at 4 million pesos, you imagine 20% of that one. That's a lot of money from not really working. That's really passive income. So how do I pick the right investment property? Well, one, do not use your emotions. I know Filipinos are very emotional. Filipinos could be very emotional. Filipinos are probably one of the most emotional. We are probably the most emotional people in the world, di ba? Mabilis tayo dala ng emotions natin. Because, why? We're one of the happiest people in the world as well, di ba? We're very resilient. We like dramas. We like K-dramas. A lot of we like soap operas, di ba? So, but in terms of investing, you cannot release your emotions. What are emotional scenarios in investing? So usually, like we get clients who come to us and, no, I really want there because nung bata ako diyan ako lumaki, 'di ba? Pero that was an area na really there's no opportunity for anyone to rent in that area. For example, be financially prepared. Investing in real estate is long-term commitment. And it's really it's not really easy. There's a sacrifice that comes to it, pero it's really gonna give you rewards. And that's the important thing about having a millionaire mindset. Always think about the future. Always think about what it can bring to you after some time. 'Di ba? For all your sacrifices. You might want to use the money now, pero imagine, even if that small amount of money, if you only have half a million in the bank, that small amount of money could go a long way. Malaki mararating yan if you do it correctly. And of course, it's important to choose a reputable developer. As I said, Vista Residence is one of the most reputable developer in the Philippines. So these are the three things you need to know when picking the right investment property. And especially if it's your first time investor, really you don't really have to make mistakes, but you can actually learn from the mistakes of others. And don't be scared to invest. So other guidelines, of course, is you always have to consider location. So population growth. What about population growth? So when we say population growth, it's really the potential growth in the area. So like a lot of people would buy properties because there are future developments, like for example there's a commercial complex na tinatayo, or there's BPO industry, IT na tinatayo, or medical facilities or hospital na tinatayo near that place. So take the opportunity because there is a future population growth in that area, or there is a future community in that area. So it's being developed, 'di ba, right now. And what are the potential for population growth? It means hindi siya yung parang magdi-decrease yung population niya and people would just go away from one place to another. It's quite important that you're quite accessible with transportation, MRT, LRTs. That's the reason why people would live in a condominium, because they want convenience, they want accessibility. It's too traffic in Manila, di ba? So you want to be in the center of everything, and you want to be well connected as much as possible. And you want to save efficiency, because like the traffic would really cost you like 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon. So that is actually a factor. So actually, while traffic is bad, 'di ba, for the economy, I won't lie na talagang malaki yung contribution niya sa real estate. A lot of people are even renting even if they are from Manila already, 'di ba? So it's another rental market. And malls and schools, of course, the accessibility to malls and schools is very important as well, because we don't have parks in the Philippines. We don't have really much open space. So leisure, really, people go to malls for leisure, and it's really a bonus. Like if you have a property and there's already a mall connected to the property, or your developer really has a mall, di ba? Vista, Vista Mall, Star Mall, I think that's her. And then the market value of the price is very important. Am I still buying the property at the correct market value? How would I know if this is a fair price for the property? So I'll show you some charts later for your guidance. Now, so let's check our Vista Residences property right now. So let's check on three projects. One is Will Tower in Quezon City. So our check is, yes, it's near school. So it's near UP, it's near Ateneo, it's near Miriam, it's near the mall. There's Trinoma, there's SM City North, there's Vertis North, and of course it is near transportation. So that's all check. For Pinecrest is, I think, mostly for end users as well. But it's near St. Paul, it's near Xavier. It's accessible to commercial areas as well, and it's near another transportation, LRT2. And for Hawthorne Heights, yes, it's near Ateneo. I think the property was really made for students. So there is a very strong market for this property in Katipunan. Miriam College and CCA, of course, it's near UP Town Center. So UP Town Center is really for millennials and student vibe. And of course, it is accessible in there's accessibility as well. LRT to Katipunan Station. Now, you have to check on the quality. It needs to be a trusted developer. It needs to have good property management. Why? Because it's very hard to invest in property with bad property management. Especially if you're not here, it's really gonna stress you out. Like if the property management is not really servicing the tenants, diba? And really, like your tenant would have a problem in his bathroom at 2 in the morning on a Saturday, for example, or a weekend. It would probably destroy your weekend. It would probably stress you out. So, um, as as a full service real estate provider, like we really need good property management, because common problems really ay sira yung aircon, or 'di ba, ayaw ng flush, or all these things. These are minor problems that you don't really have to go to the property to fix this. They just really need to call the maintenance, and na 24/7 if it's a good property manager, they would be service from there. Amenities and functionality. Again, we don't have parks, so it's quite important, really, the totality of the living experiences. The pool, the gym. Yes, we can't use it right now due to the current scenarios, these common areas, but still, it's nice to have it. It enhances really the value of the property. And integrated facilities management. Sometimes if you have like you have various programs like short term leasing, for example, like if you wanna use your property pag umuwi kayo sa Philippines, or on some days you still want to enjoy property and you don't want long term leasing, for example. It's important that the developer, they have this. And of course, again, the totality of living experience. Now, Vista Land, in terms of quality check, i- Global Land handles Vista Residences properties. So in terms of proof of their expertise, they are managing 28,500 units. I think they have a leasing department as well. And I think Vista Residences have short-term leasing programs as well. They have around 8,524 projects, and 18 years of combined experience. So this is the property management of Vista Residences if you buy property from them. So in terms of quality, yes, they do have a really good property management. We work a lot with them. They're really quite efficient. Now, as I was saying a while ago, you have to understand whether the price is still affordable or not. So this is the latest from Global Property Guide. Currently, this is the price per square meter in US dollars. So, like for example, in Hong Kong, it's 28,570 per square meter. It's an average price. So, it doesn't mean na dapat ito yung price, di ba? It's really, when we say average, it's in the middle. So it can be probably lower, it can be higher. But the thing with the Philippines is it's quite diverse because you have your high end, you have your middle, or you have your low end. But if you're trying to buy a mid end property, then ito yung basis because it's the average. Eh. So it needs to be somewhere near that price per square meter. So currently the Philippines is 3,952 per square meter, or if you convert that one, it's 200,000 pesos, 761 per square meter. So yes, it is an all-time high. You were lucky if you were able to buy at 130, 140 4 years ago or 3 years ago. You almost doubled the value of your property. So congratulations. Pero if you were not able to buy, it's not really that late yet. It's just really gonna go up. No, it's really gonna reach higher pa. So it's important to take the opportunity while nandito pa lang siya sa 200,000 per square meter. So let's check Vista Residences price per square meter. So for Will Tower, you have an average price of 197,658 per square meter. So yes, pasok siya because it's lower than the 201,000 per square meter. And then for Pinecrest naman, you have, oh, it's around the same, 197,896 as well. And Houghton Heights, almost the same as well. So 197,533 per square meter. So this is the full payment price. I just placed it here as well. So actually lower pa siya ng average, ano no. If you use your buyer's discount by buying cash property, lower pa siya nung average price sa Philippines ngayon. And of course, it's important to have your target market. So when we say target market, really, who are you eyeing? Like in the future, if you plan to sell your property, sino yung goal mo? 'Di ba? Sino yung goal mo magre-rent, sino yung goal mo bibili ng property mo when you finally earned from that property. So it's important to find the correct renter and buy what you know. So when we say buy what you know, you need to be familiar with the area. Like probably if you are a nurse, for example, you need to know kung anong kailangan ng mga nurse, for example. And of course, if you're buying in an area near the students like Katipunan, for example, you have to understand yung needs ng tenant. Like they'll probably need a study table, 'di ba? So don't furnish the unit ng walang study table, for example. Because you're eyeing the student market eh. And it's easier actually to really buy what you know. You're familiar with the area, you're familiar with the field, you're familiar with the market, you're familiar with the salary of the people in that area. So they can afford the rent market support. Kasi can the market support your rent? Baka naman mamaya pala you bought a property pero yung salary ng mga nasa area na yan it's not affordable sa mga nagre-rent, 'di ba? However, of course, for Vista Residences, it's well researched already. They won't build a property that is not, na hindi pasok sa market, or there is no market for a certain property. And of course, consider the jobs of the future. So this is new. This is what I tell people. Before kasi prior to COVID, when we do our market analysis, we buy we select condominiums na based on the current job, current demographics, 'di ba? Current population. But now you really need to look at the future of this after COVID. San to papunta? Where will this lead us? So pwedeng biotech, for example, near laboratories, for example, near hospitals. So really, where is this leading? And of course, a lot of people would start to go from working from corporate to work from home, diba? So a lot would prefer work from home setup. So yan. So a lot would buy condominiums as well because faster internet, of course, and they just really want a place na for privacy na makaka-work din sila. So usually ganyan yung mga clients ngayon eh. In terms of job. So there's a lot of opportunities for condominium investing. So in terms of Vista Residences market check, for Wheel Tower, it caters to young professional. So usually, people would buy one bedroom there, around 30 square meter, so a little bit bigger. For Pinecrest, you can use it as family starter home. The good thing with Pinecrest is there's a lot of three bedroom units and not hindi maraming developers ang may three bedroom units. It's actually quite hard to look for a three bedroom unit in the Philippines, 'di ba? There's a lot of small cuts. So a three bedroom layout is actually really good, especially if you have two kids. They both get to have their privacy. And of course, for Houghton Heights, you your market here are students and freelancers because it's near Ateneo. But I think you have to I have to tell you also that the facilities really are made for the market. Like for example, in Houghton Heights, because it's near Ateneo and the market are students, there's already a study hall in their facilities or in their building. So ganun dapat. Kasi like if I'm the student, I would like to live somewhere na may study hall na and I don't have to go to the library anymore and I could work there. And even freelancers, it's like there's like a co-working area for them. Of course, you have to run the numbers. In terms of running the numbers, you have to remember that emergency funds are important. Diniscuss ko na to kanina. Remember, it's 6 months of your monthly salary. Cash flow and mortgage. Can your salary afford the mortgage? 'Di ba? Vacancy rates, you don't expect that it's really going to be full every time. Let's like for example, realistically speaking, like if you're really in an area, for example, na sa may students, there's probably chances na it's going to be 2 months vacant on summer months. So you have to remember that and take that into consideration as well. So are you still able to pay your mortgage if wala kang renter dyan? And of course, the cost of property ownership and the responsibilities, your taxes, your association dues, but it's okay. And yields and returns are very important. Di ba? It's very important to know how much you are making from the rent of your property, and to understand whether it's a good investment or not. You really have to depend on the yield. So real estate investing. It's really all about numbers. So you have to understand. So for the Philippines, it's 6.13%. That's the average gross rental yield. Before it used to be 7, but then property prices are now up, so you'll be getting a lower yield. So if you're doing a computation and you're getting 6.13%, that's a really really good investment. But anywhere near that 5, that's that's fine as well because this is only the average gross rental yield. And when we say gross rental yield, it's really like what you get. Hindi pa kasama yung mga expenses that you pay as an owner. But this is really only a guide. But you have to remember that the gross rental yield, it's just the return for the rent. You still have the return from your capital appreciation. So you just add that. So if you're getting 6% in terms of rental yield, you're getting um 10% in terms of your capital appreciation, then you're getting 16% per year. That's really good investment. I don't think any other kind of asset would give that to you. Okay. Uh, So I just compared it with the yields in other countries, like for example Indonesia 7.09. So I think this is the highest, currently the highest yield in terms of the real estate market in Asia. But then again, this is the reason why a lot of foreigners would like to put their money in the Philippines. This is the reason why a lot of foreigners would rather invest, especially Chinese, would rather put their money here because our prices are cheaper, but our yield is higher. But so it's just really about making money from them. So remember, the formula of gross yield is annual rental income divided by purchase price. So if you're able to have your um condominiums rented out at 20,000 pesos per month, you just multiply it by 12 divided by your acquisition price. So if you were able to acquire your property at a lower price, then you'll probably get higher yield. So it's not going to be the same for everyone. But of course, it's not too late yet. It's just really gonna go higher. So I computed the yield for three properties of Vista Residences. So for Will Tower, it's 6.79% per month. So this is the average rent in the property. And then for Pinecrest, it's 4.10%. And for Houghton Heights, I projected it at 6.07%. Pinecrest is already turned over. But you have to remember that the market in Pinecrest are end users. It's really a starter family. So if you're a new family or if you're planning to have family, I think Pinecrest is a good investment because of the cut and the unit layout and of course the location as well. For Houghton Heights naman, yes, the students could probably afford 21,000, probably two students in one condominium, for example, or some students would, their parents would be able to afford, 'di ba? Because it's a high-end school, would probably be able to afford a studio unit for them. And by the time na na-turn over si Houghton Heights, because it's pre-selling, the rental would be probably higher already. Kasi I computed it using the current rental rate. So, in terms of yield check, yes. So, my last topic is how to have a millionaire real estate mindset. So, of course, number one is research is your lifetime assignment. So, do not depend on your agent. Passive income does not mean you can be too passive. So, it doesn't mean na, okay, I'll invest, wala na akong gagawin, bahala na kayo dyan, bahala na yung sinabi niyo, bahala na kayo maghanap ng it's really about checking your property, reviewing your property, choosing the right property that fits you. Kasi at the end of the day, it's still your decision eh. And you cannot blame anyone else, 'di ba? For the property investment you got. Do your own market research. Develop skills in finance and economics. Real estate investing is not really straightforward, no. It really needs to, it's really economics and finance. It's really numbers. If you really want to make millions out of real estate, you really have to develop these skills. It's very important. So a lot of real estate practitioners as well, if you wanna, like for example, enter the real estate industry, you really need to be good in terms of investment analysis and economics. And you're responsible for your own investments. And step two, exit strategies are crucial. So always have a plan A, B, and C. So it's not na, okay, I'll buy a property, paparent ko to. What if hindi mo maparent? For example, because something happened na unexpected. So you need to have a plan B. Okay, baka short term pwede, for example, or even plan C as well. There's a lot of ways how to do this. Learn to be an agile investor, learn to be flexible in terms of your investment strategies based on the current scenario. Like for example, we during the COVID we had a lot of properties na parang nakat yung leasing nila or na-terminate yung contracts nila. Pero we're able to adjust, 'di ba? We're able to protect the investors as well. So it's really important then na you really choose a good developer, which is Vista Residences, of course. And fix and though your exits are either fix and flip or buy and hold. So do you want to buy it and sell it or buy it and have it rented out? Kasi you'll have two different computation or two different return computations for that one. And then avoid market trap and sticky situations. So like Sometimes you want to buy a property and then everyone bought it. Everyone na bumili ng property, they have the same strategy on selling it upon turnover. 'Di ba? So, masyadong maraming for sale. Wala nang bumibili ng resale, for example. So, how do you avoid market trap? Timing, component, learn when to sell the property. Usually kami, we sell the property at after 10 years of turnover. We don't hold on to it na ano, kasi you've earned already from your capital appreciation and you've also earned from the rental returns. To liquidate is to experience the profit that real estate brings. And then of course, you can buy another property kay Vista Residences after you sold your current property with them and earn again. And then, of course, accounting is your best friend. Real estate investing is all about numbers. Calculate your moves and strategies. So always rely on quantitative data before qualitative. So when you say quantitative, it's really like magkano yung market trend, magkano yung returns, magkano yung growth. Instead of maganda yung pool, maganda yung, may gym and if it's really in terms of real estate, that is qualitative if you're gonna use the property, long-term investment. Quantitative if you really wanna earn from properties. Let the fact and figures speak. So don't just believe anything na sinabi sa inyo. It's important to check the facts and figures. And I'm sure Vista Residences is very much confident about it because I saw their properties before. It was what, around 2.7 during the launching price, 2.5, and then now it's around 4 million plus, almost 5 million. So that's almost double in a few years. And never forget the cost of ownership. Never forget the future value as well. Learning will never stop. Always invest in education before any asset. Rome wasn't built in a day. So it means in terms of real estate investing, it's not really about just buying and then one rich ka na, ganon. It really takes time to learn the strategies about flipping or short-term earnings in real estate. So it took a while before ko siya na master. Pero for starters or for new investors, it's important to understand that yeah, Rome wasn't built in a day. It means it's really gonna take time for you to experience earnings, to experience profit, for you to ma-return yung whatever is invested, 'di ba? And be rewarded. And that's just how investing works. And awareness of legal matters. Imagine, when Warren Buffett became the richest man in the world, senior na siya. Pero all these years, he was putting his money, he was very thrifty, he was really investing his money. And then, he became the richest man. Medyo matanda na siya because lumaki na yung investment niya, nag-compound na through all these years. So that's a very good millionaire mindset. And you have to be aware of legal matters as well. Study global scenarios. A lot of global scenarios affect the Philippines, especially if you're an OFW. If your currency is going weak, 'di ba? What should you do in a global scenario? So, of course, you pay property in one currency lang dapat. So you cannot avoid paying properties na in dollars, for example. Learn to adapt with social trends as well, with technology, with prop tech, what's the latest right now. It's very important. And seek the insight of industry experts. So I think you attended this one, so you're really interested to learn. And again, penetrate the market, find and master your niche. So be an expert on something, expert in terms of young professional, expert in student residences, for example. You can build a real estate portfolio and buy like 10 properties. And really, that's your retirement plan. Look for information such as shift in consumer spending habits, or would people still want to rent? Would people want more privacy even if smaller yung cut nila, or people would rather have sharing and bigger yung cut nila ng unit? Consider your competitors. Baka naman there's a lot of units, for example, 'di ba? For rent pero konti lang yung nagre-rent, 'di ba? In general, these are the things you have to consider. Pero for sure naman, if the location is good like Vista Residences, it would you would probably get tenant easy lang and know your market needs. Of course, understand the risk and rewards in real estate. So again, there are risk and there are rewards. Accept that real estate is subject to different kinds of risk. Interest rate risk. So usually if nag-loan ka sa bank and then hindi fix yung interest rate mo and then nag-change siya due to a current situation, you have to understand the implications of this one. So you really need to study before signing a loan. Reduce the risk by preempting it and increase return. So if you're able to manage the risk, it's a different topic that I teach in terms of real estate risk management. Then you're able to increase your ROI because usually the risk usually cuts your return. So the more risk there is, di ba, parang it affects the return. Always take calculated risk and don't let fear stop you from earning millions. It's I know it's a huge amount of money to put it there, kaya lang walang mangyayari if you're scared, 'di ba? So the most important thing is really, trust your instincts and ask for advice and choose really the right property for you. Kasi the right property for you, possible na hindi right property for me. So there are reason for it to become the right property. Step 7, opportunity knocks more than once. So no bad timing to invest in property. Again, regardless of the market cycle, whether it's up or it's down, it's always a good time to buy property. It just depend on your, if the market is down and you're buying property, for example, you wanna buy property at a cheaper price and probably sell it pag tumaas na yung price. If the market is up, then you're probably buying property for rental income, not for capital appreciation and long-term investing as well. So really, strategy lang siya. Maximize opportunities such as buyer's discount. So right now, I think Vista Land, they have buyer's discount. You can probably inquire in your agent. Real estate opportunities flow in a constant stream. So when we say opportunities flow in a constant stream, yeah, the expensive property price today is cheap tomorrow. So you might think the 4.5 million, 4.9 million, or 5 million pesos is an expensive property na. Usually I hear this na, ay mahal na kasi eh. So, when people tell me na, okay, mahal na kasi, uh, the thing is, after 2 years, you'll say na sana binili ko na ng 5 million kasi mahal na ngayon. And when it was only 2.5 before, ang mahal naman ng property na yan. And then, right now, 5 million na, you'll sa mindset mo na parang, okay, mura pala siya noon, pero hindi ko siya nabili. So that's how real estate works. So that's what I meant with the expensive property price today is cheap tomorrow. So always remember that. So take the opportunity. Kasi it's just gonna go up eh. And of course, real estate runs in cycle. Yes, so to summarize it, this is my book pala, sorry, The Real Pro, let me promote lang, Becoming the Next Real Property Expert. This was my second book. The first book was Millennial Millionaire, Becoming a Millennial Millionaire Through Investing as well. So it's available in my page and in my website. I'll project it later. So, okay, majority of the world's richest people are self-made and 90% have been created by investing in real estate. So imagine like even like McDonald's, their business is really acquiring golden arch. Their business is really acquiring real estate. Secondary lang yung what they do with those real estate assets. So this is quite true, and I hope the someday we can join 90%. This 90%, diba? And of course, again, learn from the mistakes of others. You can make mistakes as well, but it's expensive. And inspire and be inspired. Always remember why you invested in the first place and why you will continue investing. It's for your future. It's for the rewards, diba? For your retirement as well. Think about the good life after years of investing. Live for the future always. While it's good to spend currently right now and buy what you want, think about how you're able to afford everything in the future. Again, learn. I am an advocate of education, investing education, even before I continue to study. And really, nag-iiba kasi siya eh. And I really think the moment you stop learning is the moment you stop living. Yeah. And innovate and take the lead. Not because hindi nag-invest yung mga kababayan mo or hindi nag-invest yung mga OFWs mo sa abroad, hindi ka na rin mag-i-invest because takot sila, takot ka na rin. Do not follow them. And of course, not because nag-invest sila, mag-invest ka rin ng the same property. Have your own investment strategy and open your minds to possibilities. Eventually, there would be new properties that would be launched by Vista Residences, and just keep an open mind that anything na ino-offer sa inyo is an opportunity to earn millions. So never give up, and that's it for my talk today. I think we're opening the floors for questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Carvajal. Hi, guys. This is MJ Mendoza. I'm from Vista Residences. And I noticed that some of us are, well, of course, some of us are from the Philippines, but I also noticed that some of you are from the Middle Eastern countries. Actually, we have people viewing from Abu Dhabi and Saudi Arabia. So it's good to have you here. Welcome to our first episode of our investment lab. And we'd like to invite everyone to, this is your opportunity to ask Mr. Carvajal about your real estate investment inquiries. If you're like a first timer investor, and or if you're not, if you haven't gone to estate investment yet, do you have questions on how to start, how much money you should have in your bank, or probably how long does a normal return on investment take? So go ahead and type your questions on the comment box, and we'll ask Richard. For, we'll ask Richard, and I'll definitely he'll help you out with everything. So we have a sample question here for Mr. Arvin, from Mr. Arvin Samya. I'll project it on the screen. Okay, so Mr. Arvin Samya is asking, how do I find the right tenant for my rental property? So I think Arvin probably has has a set of um, properties, and he's looking for the right tenants, the right
Uh,
kind of tenants.
the right kind of tenant. We actually have tenants checklist, so it's very important. Whether the tenant they have a stable salary, whether they are long term in that area, the reasons for investing. So you need to really interview your tenant to be able to know the answer, diba? Whether it's the right for your property. I could not answer it because it's not specific property. I mean, I don't know the specific property, so I could not advise you specifically. Pero in terms of that, usually we have tenants checklist or tenants criteria. Like for example, if students sila, like how long sila mag-aaral in that location, if they're working, how long is their contract, if they're expat, how long are they here in the Philippines. So this how stable is their salary for them to make sure na hindi ka aalis. But it's really more of really like how you know whether you know if it's they're renting at the right price na hindi ka lugi in terms of uh the rental amount na the rental price of your property. And of course, some prices are too high, some prices are too speculative for a certain market. Like for example, for if they people, I'm hearing people saying now if it's Chinese, dapat we add 5,000 pesos because they can afford from the average rent. So dapat hindi ganon because usually dapat we really it's just really gonna shake the market unstable. So it's really about as long as tama yung rental price mo sa market, the one I was showing you a while ago, and tama yung yield mo, the one I projected a while ago, then I think you have a good tenant.
Okay, there you have it, Arvin. We have another question from Miss Cheryl Agbing. So her question is, what is the biggest challenge you faced in real estate investing?
I think it's really you know uh buying high risk property for high return. So when we say high risk, it's really like putting your money in there, and you need to get back the money at a short amount of time, and then eventually, for example, wala pala siyang buyers, for example. It's usually for flipping properties, and usually like it's about mistakes in acquiring certain properties at it's not really mistakes in acquiring that certain property, but mistakes in acquiring that certain property using a certain strategy. For example, dapat hindi ko ni-leverage tong property na to, or dapat hindi ko kinash out yung property na to. Instead, I've used a smaller amount so I could have ROI higher. Kasi you have to imagine na the smaller the money you put in, or the you invest in, the bigger the ROI you will be getting. If you compute your ROI, ganun yun. So, but like everything, all the challenges in real estate investing, I learned it. So that's why I'm an expert now. So I think those challenges were important. It's really like sometimes losing liquidity because it's too risky, but you really like the property. For example, you don't have cash right now kasi di mo pa nabebenta yung isang property, or di mo pa na-flip yung isang property, but you really want that property and you're scared that you might lose that opportunity. So grinab mo yung opportunity, and then now wala kang property. And then other one is really like closing interest at a very high interest rate, that the interest rate is higher than the yield. So you're not really earning anymore. So yung mga yun. Pero all of those are learning experiences.
There you have it, Cheryl. I guess you just really have to study the whole
Yes.
concept of real estate investing, and you have to be cautious about your movements. Every movement, there's a like an equal peso amounting to that. So we have another question here from um, Celine Pua. She's asking, what was your first real estate investment, and what made you what made you decide to buy it?
Okay. I cannot answer the specific, specific property for you, but it's a condominium property. Of course. I've always been investment savvy. I like property so much, but the main reason why I like the properties the most is because you don't have to cash out. It seems like it's affordable. Because you're only paying like before during the first property, you're only paying like, for example, 10,000 per month, or even less than 10,000 pesos per month. So parang, or so it's really an opportunity to earn millions while you're not paying millions, because you need money to make money, 'di ba? So I think that's the pinaka motivation sa akin why I really like real estate investing. It's really about earning millions even if you're not putting in millions.
Okay. We have another question here from Miss Heidi Gopez. Is there a right age for you to start investing? You have to be 18 and above? Is it 24? 38?
Technically, yeah, by law dapat 'di ba 18 and above ka. Pero in terms of investing at the start, wala eh. Pero in terms of financial stages, there is the dapat may emergency fund ka muna, which is 6 months. That's the most important. And your insurance, you're protected by, you have protection as well for your asset. And dapat you're debt free. Kasi what's the use of investing in real estate if may utang ka? So technically, if may utang ka, like for example, credit card debt, and the credit card debt is killing you at 15% interest, di ba? Every time di ka nakakabayad. And you're earning in real estate as well, 15% for example, then zero lang yon. Tapos may inflation pa. So it's really like, it's just really the science. Whatever your age, basta dapat debt-free ka, may emergency fund ka, and you have a stable income, stable cash flow, then you can start investing in real estate.
Okay, there you have it, Heidi. We have another question from Miss Diane Lamboloto. I think this is a question that everybody is asking. So she's asking, how do you encourage people to buy a property this time, in this time of pandemic? I mean, everybody's asking that.
Okay. Actually, we're really not hindi, I mean personally, hindi naman sa encouraging people to buy property, but it's really like people are coming to me and they're saying that we want to buy property right now. Maybe it's a good time to buy property right now, for example, because at the end of the day, it's a cycle. Eh. So this pandemic, it remember, 'di ba, the property prices uh last year and early this year prior to this lockdown was at an all-time high. So when we say all-time high, talagang it's really highest of the highest. And the property prices are very much it's not it's very much separated from what the Filipinos can afford or based on the salaries of the Filipinos. And then right now this is an opportunity na there are a lot of good buy property, there are a lot of buyers promo. I think Vista Residences, you have buyers promo when I was reviewing your price list as well. So it's really about taking the opportunity. Eh. And as long as you understand how real estate works, and as long as you understand how investing works, and you have a good investment strategy. But what you have to remember right now is um prior to COVID, you cannot buy real estate actually and really like for example flip yung strategy mo and then nag-pandemic. So how can you flip right now during pandemic? Pero during this pandemic, you can actually go back to a flipping strategy. So those things are long-term income strategies. So it's about taking opportunities, eh. And it's again it depends on your strategy and purpose of buying properties.
Thank you for that, Richard. And we have a question here from Miss Charmaine Shahani LF. She's asking, what type of real estate is the best investment today? Kahit na may pandemic ngayon. Condo po ba, house and lot, or lot only? I'm sure condos are like a good investment at this time, no? Kasi of course, especially in Metro Manila kasi spaces are very very limited, 'di
Yes.
ba?
And sabi ko nga 'di ba, there is I should agree na condo I think. And condos are my expertise. I'm not expert in terms of lots. House and lot pwede, but in terms of lot only, I'm not. I do not understand how you could get rental yields. Remember, di ba, when buying real estate, there are two factors, the rental yield and the capital appreciation. So for an idle lot, you only get capital appreciation. So that's already out of the scenario. Now for house and lot and condominium, I have to admit that house and lot would give you lower yield. So like for example, a studio condominium unit would give you a rent of 25,000 pesos. The same amount of house and lot, for example, would only be kuwari, the same value in house and lot, you would only get around 16,000, 17,000 pesos rent. House and lot, the rent for house and lot are cheaper because it's not really center in terms of location, and condominium rents are really more expensive. So in terms of yield, I think condominium, pero it does not mean that house and lot are I'm not saying that house and lots are bad investment. It's just based on the current strategies right now.
Thank you for that, Richard. We have a question here from the Vista. I guess they're we're watching us right now. From the Vista Information Center. The how do you see the market response right now in this time of pandemic, and what is the best approach?
Okay, you have to understand the market. There are different types of market. There is the market that is affected, 'di ba? Probably low to middle class income, and currently they would tell you na really we could not buy right now and we could not really invest right now. And there is another market that's quite liquid, and these are investors that are taking opportunities, 'di ba, to buy the current market. So right now, from the Vista Information Center, I think you really have to check out itong market na to. If your current market right now is affected because they cannot afford, you have to shift to another market, 'di ba? And you first of all, the developers are there. They have their payment plans naman. They were helping. They 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 actually ask the clients to stop, 'di ba? Stop amortization payments or hold amortization payments. So they are there to help naman. But if you cannot pay your property anymore, for example, because we have few clients na talagang wala, we try to help them flip their property. But of course, if you sell your property right now at this situation, at this scenario, you're not able to sell it at the maximum price, or at the maximum return. You would probably have to lower it a little to be able to sell the property. So it really depends on market, the type of market, based on your clients, or based really sa market na bumibili ng real estate.
That's true, and I guess there's a perfect time for everything. No, you
Yes,
really have to
timing
watch out for the perfect time to either flip or
time.
sell your
Pero
property.
yes, Alicia, pero really my advice is to hold on to properties right now. It's not the time to sell properties right now. Trust me, it will go back by the end of the year or early next year. And if you really want to sell your property, try selling it early next year. So, for now, baka pwede nyo gawan ng paraan in terms of holding to your properties.
Thank you for that, Richard. We have a very good question here from Mr. Vincent Marasigan. No? He's asking, well, actually, he has a condo unit at the Whale Tower in Quezon City. But now, since ABS-CBN has closed down, um, he's asking what should be his secondary rental market.
Wait lang, ABS-CBN is technically closed in terms of there's no streaming, but currently the employees are there. They have other channels as well. But in terms of the location in Will Tower, it's near Timog Tomas Morato area, di ba? There's a lot of offices there. Quezon City is really booming right now. They're developing a solar in the area. They're developing there's a lot of development that are coming the next 5 years. So even other developers that walang development sa Quezon City before started shifting to Quezon City because they are projecting the boom in that city. And luckily, Vista Residences, nauna sila mag-develop in that area. Hindi naman mawawala yung market sa Quezon City because there's a lot of companies there. Quezon City is a big market in terms of offices and commercial buildings. So that's why you really have to focus on young professionals. Pero hindi lang naman si ABS-CBN yung market ni Will Tower. There are a lot of markets in Quezon City.
There you have it. Vincent, we have a question here from Miss Ruth Dating Ginoo. You mentioned about the market research a while ago. What are the data we need to look at? What are the data that we need to look at, and where do we find these data that can help us determine the right property? I mean, I
Okay.
guess she's asking for references, no?
Yes. So, you need to look at the average lease rate in the city kung nasan yung property mo. So, average lease rate, and then average vacancy rate, and then average occupancy rate. Average lease rate per square meter. Yes, and then average occupancy rate ng building and demographics. You can find this data in real estate consultancy companies. So they are not developers, they are consultancy companies. It's called market insights. So I suggest you just search Google, like for example, you have a property in Quezon City, just search Google market insight in Quezon City. Real estate market insight in Quezon City. And then it will lead you to I cannot endorse any real estate, a specific company right now, no. So it will lead you to the website, and you have to download the market insight. Just put there your email, and then you have to read it. Pero you might be overwhelmed with datas kasi it's really data heavy and data driven. So you might need help in interpreting the data. So you can actually you can message me on my page if you need help in terms of explanation or something like that.
Thank you for that. And remember, everyone should always take into consider, um, and you have to ensure that you're looking at the right resources.
Yes.
and you have, by looking at the right resources, you have to make sure that these are the official references.
Exactly.
Like for
Don't
instance,
just trust anyone in terms
exactly,
of market data. Yes.
exactly. So I would suggest for you to visit the official websites or Facebook pages or social media pages of the developer that you're looking for. In our case, our social media pages are actually Vista Residences official. So you can look it up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. All our reference materials are there. And of course, our website, www.vistaresidences.com. And I guess we have time for the last two questions. We have a question here from Miss Gladys Ungab. Hi, sir. Can you suggest any location or developing cities in the coming years? It can be a guide for us to choose where to buy properties for rental or flipping.
Okay. I'm gonna answer this straightforward. It's really Ortigas. No, because the prices are okay. It's not really as high as Makati and BGC. It's developing. There's a lot of opportunities. So you might want to consider Spectrum properties if you still have available properties there. And there's a lot of infrastructure development that's connecting Ortigas. It's at the center of Metro Manila, etc. But other than that, you can buy anywhere na may development, future development as well, future job growths as well. It can be guide for choosing where to buy. Pero it would depend whether you want to flip it or you want to have it rented out. Pero I think a good location would be Ortigas to Quezon City. And of course, the new location bit around C5, mga development location sa area na yan.
That's right. And just along C5, on your way to Quezon City, there's Katipunan, of course,
Ay,
the
Katipunan.
Ateneo, right? The Ateneo School. I'm
Yes.
sure Hawthorne Heights will be a perfect fit for your um, real estate investment. For our last question, um, we have a question from Miss Karen Gonzalez. If you're going to buy for rental purposes, should you go for units with smaller cuts or larger cuts?
Personally, I would go for smaller cuts because it's easier to have it rented out. There's more markets who's renting out smaller cuts. Kasi for larger cuts, technically, they would probably have roommates or it's really for family. So it's a smaller market. It's a different market. Families would usually like to buy their own properties kasi they think na instead of putting the money sa rent, they would just buy their own. So for smaller cuts, it's actually so easy to find tenants in terms of smaller cuts kasi it's affordable also kasi it's smaller as well. And it's there's really a lot of opportunity for smaller cuts. So sometimes we suggest our client, instead of buying a two-bedroom property, why not just buy three studio properties? And if you compute it based on our research, talagang higher yung returns niya.
There you have it. Um, before we end the program, actually, I just wanted to thank our international guests. Should I refer them like that? I'd like to recognize those watching from the Middle East. We have, as mentioned, we have some people watching from Abu Dhabi, Saudi Arabia, and we also have from Europe, actually from Milan. Thank you very much for watching us. I know that like it's a different time frame or time zone there. So thank you for taking the time off to watch this live session. We have a question here. Sorry, I mentioned earlier that it was the last question, but since there have been a lot of questions in our comment box, I'd like to read two more. One is from Miss Leonida. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your last name. Um, from Leonida, how do you see prices appreciation or depreciation of properties in the coming months?
How do I see prices of okay. in terms of depreciation, the only depreciation in properties are really buyers promos. So the buyers promos are really like giving a chance or lockdown discount as they call it. So that's really the only depreciation. But I won't tag this as depreciation. It's just really a promotion to for people to be able to buy the property. But this these prices are really correcting the market price, because after some time, 'di ba, it's always like going up, 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 up. The prices are regulated na dapat every quarter you increase the price at the 3%, 3%, and then it does not become affordable anymore. So kawawa naman yung mga hindi pa nakabili ng real estate, or they are just about to buy the properties. So but eventually it's gonna go back, because you have to remember that real estate is a cycle. So after the 'di ba, usually it's going up, and then after while it's up, it's while it's on its peak, it's gonna go down a little, and then it's gonna recover from a certain market. Now we've been in a boom, we call it boom. We've been in a boom scenario for quite a while now, and we've been really at the peak, no, and then this COVID-19 really pushed it to go down a little, which is parang we were waiting for it to go down a little few years ago pa, but because the the Philippines was performing very well in terms of investments, it wasn't pushing through. Pero we what kami as a real estate expert, we really want the market to correct, so parang we can start all over again. So that's how we actually see it. But then after it goes down, the next stage is it's going to recover. And in terms of recover, it's going to appreciate as well. So you have to remember kung saan kayo papasok in terms of real estate. So if you wait for now, probably next year or 2 years, it's really gonna be expensive. The properties are really, really gonna be expensive. So if you're planning to buy now, I think this is really the best time.
That's true. Today is the best time, and like what Richard mentioned, actually, every day is a good time to invest. Again, you just have to be very, very cautious about your investments, and you have to really understand the whole 9 yards of real estate investment. We have time for one last question, and this is from EJ Edulan. Since there are other investment options, what do you think is the rank of real estate investment for yuppies or young adults?
First, of course. Yeah. I think everyone wants a real estate investment. It's really ano eh, it's really the mark, or it's really the trophy of your hard work. But more of that kasi in the Philippines kasi 'di ba, parang in the Philippines, parang we're used to living with our parents, for example, or with our relatives. So we're very fond of that. So unlike in other countries na hiwalay siya. Pero still, everyone wants a real estate investment. Everyone wants a piece of the land. If you look at it, we're around 100 million, 'di ba, Filipinos, in terms of, and the land mass is not enough. It's actually too crowded. It's actually too dead. So actually the goal is really to, to own a piece of land. When I say land, it could be a condominium, 'di ba? Kasi as a condominium owner, you technically own the land as well. So it's really to own a piece of property in the Philippines. And especially for OFWs as well. Number one goal talaga is to buy properties. Everyone wants to have their own properties. Yes, so I think that's it for me. Thank you again, guys, for watching this investment lab by Vista Residences. And thank you, Vista Residences, for having.
There you have it. Thank you very much, Richard. And I'm sure everyone has a lot more questions. So you can just ask your questions in the comment section in this live Facebook live session. And we'll have Richard answer them for you. So any type of inquiry that you'd like to ask Richard, just type into the comment box. Even if we're not able to answer it in this live session, he will answer it for you via the comment section.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Richard. I'm sure everyone learned a lot. And before we end this program, we'd like to surprise one member of the audience for a special treat. And as you know, we're all tomorrow is a special day for our fathers. Since it's Father's Day, we'd actually like to treat one member of the audience with a special coffee project treat from um, and we'd like to announce the winner now. Congratulations to Mr. Edgardo Educal for winning a family feast treat from Coffee Project worth 1,999. So we'll contact you through Facebook Messenger, and we'll get all your details. And before we end, I'd like to thank everyone who participated in this live session. And thank you, and good afternoon. Have a nice day.
That was awesome. Thank you for joining our first Investment Lab Facebook Live session. And don't forget to like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and YouTube at Vista Residences Official. Subscribe to know more about our properties and promos. See you in the next Investment Lab session.